Well, the Nifty's lost about 40 points from the top of the day. The mid-cap index too is down about 0.5% from the peak that it had scaled in the early part of the session. Let's invite Ashwini Gujral and Prakash Gaba to find out what to make of this little bit of a dip that we've seen from the earlier gains. Ashwini, how would you approach this slide from the top of the day?
See, basically, it appears that we are in some sort of an upswing. Seems unlikely that we'll cross 10,950 thereabouts. So the idea is that this is probably an intraday decline, and at lower levels you will find buying coming back. Those lower levels could be 10,750 to about 10,780, broadly the 200-day moving average. But overall, there seems to be a little lack of follow-through. But it's going to be choppy, and stock-specific action will rule the roost. As far as individual stocks are concerned, Larsen & Toubro Finance and Holding is a buy with a stop of 143, target of 156. DLF is a buy with a stop of 179, target of 192. And BOB is a buy with a stop of 118, target of 130.
Okay, those are bets that Ashwini is going with for the time being. Nifty Bank, Ashwini, extremely strong, still holding to pretty solid gains to 30 points. What would the advice be on this one for the second half of the day?
See, this is the stronger pocket, and possibly if something is going to break out, it's probably the Nifty Bank. But again, 2,700, 2,750, you have resistances there. So if we are just dependent on one sector, again, at higher levels, they'll be tough going. We are at the higher end of the range. This is a 2.5-month-old rally. So it'll be difficult for a fresh move to start here. A fresh move probably needs lower levels. But overall, the market is kind of hitting the upper end of its range. So unlikely that Bank Nifty will really go beyond, say, 27,750, 800 if the Nifty has great trouble moving higher.
Okay, let's get in Prakash Gaba. Prakash, your thoughts on the Nifty so far, the movement that we've seen, and your picks?
Well, good afternoon to you. Well, looks like the trend is still intact. The technical targets that we had on Nifty was 10,811. That got achieved. Beyond that is 10,870. Now, it opened with a gap and went up higher. It got tired a bit in the upper region. Some selling pressure came in. Now, it needs to correct. The correction could be two ways. A is the price-wise correction, or maybe the time-wise correction. Looks like it's more of a time-wise correction. We could move sideways for a while, and maybe in the later part of the trading session, we could see an up move, and maybe the trend would resume. When I look at the Bank Nifty, this seems to be more stronger than Nifty. Again, a sideways correction is not ruled out. The targets on the Bank Nifty is 27,503. I think it's heading up there. So I wouldn't worry about it. The only thing is I would want some time to elapse so that we could buy maybe get a good place to buy for a next part of the trading session, which could be up. I have two stocks here. Amara Raja Battery certainly looks good to me, and I think it's heading up to levels closer to 755 zones. Stop below 727 should be okay. And I like good old Reliance. Stop below 1105. Possible targets on the upside is in the vicinity of 1140.
Okay, all right, Prakash, thanks very much for those calls. Thanks to Ashwini as well. We'll come back and revisit the market action in the next couple of hours. Gentlemen, before we let you go, just disclosures if there are any. Ashwini, any disclosures you'd like to make?
See, we have positions in L&T, Finance and Holding.
Okay, Prakash, any disclosures?
No conflict of interest.
Okay, fair enough. Well, on that note, let's move on to slightly longer term and medium term technical chart outlooks. And this is, of course, a comment that's coming in from CLSA. We caught up with Lawrence Belanco, who is from the brokerage, and he has an extremely bearish outlook, not just on the Nifty, but on global equity markets and also on crude oil. On the Indian market, on the Nifty, he's expecting a range of 9,900 to 11,000 and even a test of the 9,900 level.
We think it's a low probability event, with the best case of Nifty really remaining range bound between sort of 9,900 and this 11,000 resistance zone. You can see basically over the past 2 months the initial recovery off the October lows has failed at this 11,000 area on 3 occasions. You've got slowing upside momentum. So we think it's unlikely that we clear the 11,000 area. There's clearly a risk that we retest 9,900 and break below that and see the Nifty trade down to 9,000 by mid-2019. So I don't think you can rule that out. And looking at the broader trends, which are bearish across global equities, definitely a risk of retesting 9,900. If we take a step back and we just look at the global scenarios, that the Nasdaq being down 20% off its September peak, the S&P got 19% off its highs. We've really got the conditions here for a synchronized global bear market. And I think it's really the US that drives this sort of final 14 to 15% down in the decline. If you look at the relative price action now, emerging markets have stayed under pressure, but they've fallen less. So you're getting relative outperformance by emerging markets. Decline, we're falling less than the developed markets, the US in particular. And I think once we're through this phase, we'll actually see emerging markets rise more and then show relative outperformance in both absolute terms as well.